According to Dolores Cannon, there were generally 3 waves of volunteers that come to Earth to assist the shift into a new reality. The first group incarnated around World War II, and the last group continued to incarnate as the recent real children being born. While a shift in consciousness to a new Earth has been said to be slowly happening, there might be a surprise about to unfold in the grand plan that may well cause such a radical change that you will have no doubt that you have finally freed yourself from the control matrix. This surprise could be a massive 4th wave of volunteers that do not have time to incarnate, but instead will walk in en masse to an available body. Their job seems to be multifaceted, to help raise the overall consciousness and frequency to the higher realms, to assist the 3 waves of volunteers in their personal ascension, and to become the new stewards of the planetary experience. The overall mission has always been to assist Earth in the shift to a higher vibrational frequency, which would remove the negative beings that have been using Earth humans as a food and energy source. It is important that we discuss the possibility of large groups of walk-in souls in order to prepare ourselves. As I mentioned in my last article, massive walkout of souls in preparation for the shift. The majority of the population of humans on the planet are what has been termed NPCs, or non-player characters. I have witnessed many people in my life turn into NPCs as their souls walked out of the body. Instead of having a mass number of dead bodies and a lot of upset people on the planet, apparently we have some kind of artificial intelligence program that continue to make the world spin as we do the huge soul shuffle on the planet. For many, all of this goes unnoticed, as the majority of them are the empty vessels running programs, and they would not question their reality because they are not real. What this means is that many souls have silently already made the shift out of here. Many have simply gone home after thousands of years of being stuck in a reincarnation hell. Some simply came in as one of the 3 waves of volunteers and their job was complete. Some were needed on the other side, whatever that is. Some were very positive and loving souls, but they just weren't prepared for the amount of clearing and self-work needed in order to stay in a body at this time. As I have mentioned many times before, everyone has a bit of a unique story as to why they are here and how they will or won't make the shift. Let's think about where we find ourselves right now, in July of 2021. It has been 9 years since many of us hoped that we would experience a sudden shift into another reality on December 21, 2012. Many fantasized about waking up on our star family ship, our home planet, ascending to heaven, or shifting to a new Earth. If you are still here and are still reading this blog, you may find yourself wondering if you have failed to ascend. Maybe you're wondering when you finally see proof of something that has truly changed on the planet, as everything seems to have gotten worse. In fact, as I am writing this, I have been down with the flu for 8 days straight, and I thought I might be dying, again. I am definitely questioning why I am having to go through this. This storyline I've been witnessing out there has gotten more and more unbelievable, and many of the NPCs began glitching out. Many of you that I have had the privilege to talk to feel more alone than ever. I would say that if you are reading this right now, you have had one of the most difficult assignments of all of the volunteers yet, because you are still here. It may be about to get just a little bit weirder right before it gets a whole lot better. In a recent video by Jason Estes, he said that at the moment, only 1/3 of all humans are actually sold or player characters in the matrix we call Earth. Not only that, but he said that all of the 2/3 of NPC bodies will soon be filled by higher souled beings as walk-ins. I have evidence of the walkouts, but we won't know exactly what will happen until it just happens. Time is tricky, but we have to give ourselves some kind of reference. And he has mentioned August to November of this year as the main time frame for a massive walk-in and settling of souls into the NPC bodies. Are we finally receiving the answers to the questions that we have been seeking as to how the shift will occur from one reality to another and when? It has not made sense to me as to why I would be left on this planet with a bunch of not real, idiotic, and irresponsible, and cold calloused people, and I knew that I didn't somehow miss the boat. Apparently I have been doing a lot of work that I do not remember while consciously here, in my other bodies or higher dimensional versions of myself, to help to clear out the planet of negative density, and to help free souls that have been trapped here for a very long time. I think this has happened on a mass scale, and as weird as it sounds, we have been left with a bunch of bodies we are calling non-player characters. I have discussed before how important it is to realize that at any time, someone who you realized was not real could possibly host a walk-in at any time, both to positive and negative souls, and that you should try to continue to treat all people as you would like to be treated yourself. Of course, many of us have been attacked in the recent past and have had to fend off some of these NPCs and phantom beings. I have had a hard time trusting people because I've been lied to and manipulated so many times, or it seemed that way. Any human body who did not have a sovereign being occupying and claiming it for themselves, had the capability of being an organic portal or soulless being. There were also hitchhikers, the ghosts that were taking up occupancy in the bodies, and there were holographic projected consciousnesses walking around that you couldn't tell weren't real people. However, recently I've noticed things aren't as bad at all as they used to be. We've definitely moved out of the deep darkness. Each and every one of us has probably still slipped up and talked down to what I term the idiots out of frustration or at a loss of patience. You know, they used to pull out in front of you on the road on purpose, in order to trigger you or to cause you harm. Now they are just forgetting how to drive or blanking out behind the wheel. We have caught ourselves, and we silently reprimand and remind ourselves when we think bad about them, and we say forgive them, for they know not what they do. As I've shared with you before, I witness many of them are glitching out and barely holding on as the energies and matrix codes rapidly change to a whole new operating system. If you are like me, you really don't even want to get out into the world anymore, as it isn't as pleasurable as it used to be. Sometimes it can even be dangerous to drive on the same road with them. Other times, recently I've noticed that things can actually be in your favor if you play your cards right. I would ask that you use your imagination with me here for a few minutes, because if this information is true, we need to prepare for what may be coming. We would only be getting this level of information if we had already taken care of any beings who were trying to stop this from happening. You wouldn't give your final hand away in poker unless it was time to show your cards and collect your winnings. The thought of massive higher vibrational soul walk-ins raises some questions in my mind. Who would these higher walk-in souls be? Will they have their memories intact, and if so, what wisdom would they bring? How would it feel for pretty much everyone in your life to be real, kind, loving, compassionate, intelligent people? Could this be how the shift occurs for you, all in a matter of a few months? Most of the people around you are more real? Did you know it was going to look like this? The shift to a new Earth has been confusing and has been described in many ways, and it may have played out different for many people. For example, think about the souls that have recently walked out. I didn't see that one coming until it had already happened, and I looked around. The idea of a new Earth had even been hijacked by the dark beings who had hoped to twist the new Earth theory into a false light 5D Earth Ascension, where they would use technology to artificially raise the frequency to a higher one, and pull people faster than the speed of light through a portal. They would then tell people, congratulations, you have ascended to 5D, when in fact they were just in a fourth-dimensional pocket realm still under the control of the dark beings. You and I are still here. That didn't happen to us. In a matter of perspective, are we about to witness higher dimensional beings walking in here, Or are we simply shifting our consciousness perspective and walking into a future new version of Earth where they already exist? I'm not sure, but it sure sounds better than being hijacked into a false 5D Earth, and I sure am tired of existing with all of the idiot robots. If every human body on the planet was filled with an awakened soul of either one of the three waves of volunteers, or one of the higher dimensional beings of a benevolent nature, what I am calling the fourth wave of volunteers, the world would rapidly be different. Imagine the homeless person on the street suddenly have a consciousness within it from Andromeda. You could probably tell by the look in their eyes that they are real and may need a hand getting back on their feet. Imagine the head CEO of one of the largest banks suddenly having a benevolent Syrian walking in. What would their first task be on the job the next day? What if the stewardship of the whole world was taken over in a month or two by benevolent, higher consciousness, higher vibratory, compassionate, loving beings? Would they be so different from us? Could they already be human beings from other planets, having a lot to share about the way life was planned to be lived in the original human body template? What would they help us with, and what could we help them with? The advantage they would have over us is that they haven't been the ones being tortured by the dark here on the planet in this lifetime. Many of the three waves of volunteers and the souls that they came here to help certainly still have some healing to do, and I think many of us could use a bit of assistance in getting back to some semblance of normalcy. We, on the other hand, know how to do immediate tasks for survival, such as how to prepare food, how to use a smartphone or computer, or how to drive a car. If many of them come in with their memories intact of where they came from right before arriving here, they may have a hard time adjusting to the culture that they find themselves in. Much of this old culture will quickly go by the wayside, but some of the differences that make each of us unique will still remain. You can be assured that politics, religions, corrupt government, Western medicine, and education will surely be the first things to rapidly change, as none of the ways and cultures we have been living relate to higher dimensional beings who have been free of the control matrix. I felt a need to write this article because we need to really take a good look at how we have been programmed in this life to react to other people. Our subconscious first impressions of other people have been programmed into us by our family upbringing, television, personal preferences, and entertainment. Most of that could completely go out of the window if an NPC suddenly takes on a new sovereign being host, and it goes offline from the AI system. Imagine the opposite of the theme in the movie The Matrix, as regular people suddenly morphed into Agent Smiths, but in this case, instead of Agent Smiths, they could be positively oriented Neos from other universes ready to try the new Earth experience. It might be really confusing when people begin to completely change all around you toward the end of this year if you don't know what is happening. It may seem like all of a sudden, people are waking up. In one perspective that is true, from another perspective, can we be the ones waking up from a deep, deep slumber and finally joining the real world? I'm not sure, but I like Jason's perspective of the mass amount of higher walk-ins, because it fits with my mass walkout theory. We also need to be aware that if all of this is true, then what is about to happen has never been done before, and some of the bodies will not fare well with the higher frequency beings entering them. A number of things could go wrong with the frequency transference, but I have a feeling that some of the results of higher energy walking in could look a lot like having the flu. Maybe not all of the NPCs will obviously be successful in housing walk-in souls, but the goal is and always has been to help the Earth to shift to a higher frequency, and for as many souls in bodies or templates as possible to be a part of the shift. It is my hope that many of the NPC bodies will do just fine. Sometimes I can't believe I am actually writing about this. I will say that if this isn't the way it happens, I'll have a good laugh about it because nothing else makes sense right now. Please rethink everything you may have thought mattered, even in the awakened community, and be willing to let go of everything we were told about Ascension. Some of it is true, some of it has changed, and some of it was mis and disinformation. Soon enough we will remember everything. 2021 might just be one of the most unforgettable years of your life if this mass walk-in occurs. Your soul has a plan, and it may have chosen to coexist with all of these new walk-in souls from all over the universe. You may be about to get the most satisfaction of your whole life when you realize that what we have been preparing for, even if you didn't remember the plan, is happening now. You may realize that since 2012, or maybe even before that, you really haven't been in the real world, and very shortly, we may find ourselves surrounded by real people. How will you act towards that cousin that you hated all of your life, but is no longer your hated cousin, but a walk-in from Lyra? Will you be able to catch yourself from knee-jerk reactions and triggers of the past? If the walk-ins don't seem that much different at first, then it will be easy, kind of like when the other souls walked out in the first place. But I keep thinking about how many of them could ring me up to say, "Hi, I'm Maxina from the 12,000th Division of the Sombrero Galaxy." I really hope many of them have their memories intact. I don't know about you, but I am getting my questions ready just in case. I am also thinking about what it would be like to be them, and how they will feel meeting me, one of the 3 waves of volunteers that have somehow been a part of the huge preparation for all of the human bodies to receive higher selves with organic, real human template source codes. Don't sell yourself short. This means that we get to be real too, it's just that we came much earlier and did a lot of the heavy lifting. One thing is for sure, there is nothing to be afraid of. I'm ready for first contact and my new role on Earth. Or am I? All of those teachings about controlling my thoughts, about being a responsible human, about treating others nice, will I be able to comfortably exist side by side with them? When all of the hoopla and reunion parties are over, when everyone is settled down in their new body, and when many of the immediate regulatory kinks are worked out, I may be ready for a long rest and vacation. Surprisingly, I may get the best of both worlds. I may gain the ability to put this Earth body on hold, while I jump outside of time to be in more than one place at once. It could seem as no time has gone by in this body while I could go visit my home far, far away for a year, or even a lifetime if I wish. Most of us haven't had this organic ability to travel in a long, long time. My hopes are that the 4th wave of volunteers will help us remember how to do this and more, like completely repairing and correcting all of our DNA. If you are reading this after the end of 2021, and if you realize that you are one of the 4th wave of volunteers who just walked into a body, welcome to Earth. I imagine you must be very shocked to see the state of affairs of the planet, and perhaps even the state that you find the 3rd wave of volunteers in, as well as the old souls who they came to help. We need to quickly figure out what we have in common, so that we can all roll up our sleeves, because it will be all hands on deck. First, we all need to be well in good physical health. Second, we need to know what has happened, thus I am writing this article in advance. Third, we here on Earth are looking forward to a takeover of all major corporations and governments by benevolent, real people. We aren't looking for the New World Order, although our goal is to unite as Earth humanity of the highest possible frequency of real love and benevolence in the physical. If you find yourself in need of some assistance, you could book a session with me. On the other hand, if you're a volunteer of the 3rd kind witnessing this shift of incoming 4th kind souls, and have traditionally been operating in past life regression or chakra healing, etc., you may quickly find yourself in a new role as a walk-in assistant or quantum healer. We may have to shift modalities on the fly to adapt to what these walk-in souls will need help with, as much of the work we have done was assisting the old souls to walk out, and preparing the NPC bodies for the 4th wave of volunteers. There may not be many people left that focus on healing past lives, but are now focused on this life in the now and how to adapt to Earth. That is why the recent focus is and still shall be what is right in front of you and taking care of yourself first. As we complete the last phase of releasing all of the denseness, the beginning of something new will rapidly transform our reality finally for the better for all of life on Earth.